Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Hello, guys. How are you today? Hello, everybody. Did you have a nice morning?
Yes, teacher.
That's good. Good to hear. Okay, guys. Let's now begin. Let's begin our class.
Hi, teacher.
Hello. Hello, everybody. How are you doing? Hello. Okay, guys. Let's start then. All right? So, again, as you know, we are speaking about time. We are using some interesting resources to speak about time, like these vocabulary that we've learned. And now let's do a little bit of listening practice, okay? Does that sound good? And remember this little expression. What is the meaning of turning points? What is the meaning of turning points? What is the meaning of that? Turning points.
Un punto de cambio.
Punto de cambio, ¿no es cierto? Un punto de inflexión, si se quiere. No de inflexión, perdón, estoy pensando en la pandemia. Right? So, correct. That's right. Something that changes your life in a way, and a very important experience. Like, could you give me examples of turning points in people's lives?
Hi, teacher.
Hello, how are you doing? So, would you give me some examples of turning points, events that change people's lives in general?
Get married.
Yes, getting married. That is a big turning point. Very good. What else? Any other idea? What else can be a turning point?
Becoming a father or mother.
Exactly, becoming a father or mother, becoming a parent. That's right. Exactly. Things like that, right? Things like that. Graduating from high school, graduating from college, getting your first job, right? All of those are turning points in life. Okay, very good. Now, and sometimes they can be things that are very particular to one person or another, right? Let's do a little bit of listening. So, listen to three people describe important events in their lives. Complete the chart, or just let me see if I'm sharing the sound of the computer. Okay, good. So we have three people here. We have Nari, we have Anthony, and Karina. We have Karina, Anthony, and Nari. Okay, so what is the turning point? First of all, what is the turning point? And let's also write down, let's also take note of how it affected him or her. Okay, so let's try to focus on the turning point. Okay, try to write down, and also remember this: when you just say write, escribir, right? But when you say write down, it's like take note of something, because you write it down, you put it in there, right? Something that is around, all this information is here, you write it, you take it, and you put it down on your notebook. So you write it down, okay? If you're going to, si ustedes van a escribir una carta, you don't say write down, you just say write. Si van a escribir un cuento, si van a escribir un ensayo, if you're going to write a story, if you're going to write an essay, you just say write. But if you're going to take notes of something, you say write down. Or for example, well, when people didn't have cell phones, right? Would you give me your phone number? Sure. Okay, I'll write it down. Just a second, I'll write it down in a napkin or something like that, right? Okay, so now let's listen and let's try to write down the turning point, okay?
Page 74, Exercise 4, Listening, Turning Points.
Can you hear the audio? Tell me, please. Can you hear the audio? Okay.
Yes, teacher.
Yes, teacher.
Yes, teacher.
Thanks. All right, let's continue listening then.
Part A. Listen to three people describe important events in their lives.
So please have paper and pen around, okay? Have your notebooks around or something to take notes, okay?
Complete the chart.
Good morning, listeners. I'm Mark Markinson, and we're back talking about turning points. Those moments when something happens in our lives, and afterward, we're never quite the same. Let's go to our first caller, Nari.
Hi, Mark. I'm South Korean and came to Boston by myself when I was 17. Transitioning was hard. I had studied English but had never practiced with anyone. I was so nervous at first, and the second week I had to buy a cell phone. I was terrified, but the salesperson understood my first question, and I understood his answer. The moment that happened, I knew I was going to be okay with my English and get my dream job in Boston. So I guess buying a cell phone was my turning point with my English.
Thank you, Nari, and your English sounds great. Let's go to Anthony.
Hi, Mark. Well, I started working for myself 1 year ago.
What made you decide to do it, Anthony?
I was doing graphic design for this company, and I was bored. I didn't like the company or town I lived in. I wanted to work for myself. I'd say my turning point was the day I started looking for my own clients online. As soon as I did that, I knew I was serious. I started doing freelance work, saving money, and 1 year later I quit my job and moved to Chicago.
Love those entrepreneur stories. We have time for one more call.
Hi, I'm Karina. I'm a doctor, but I didn't always know that was my calling. My aunt had cancer, and I took care of her during the hardest part of her treatment. After she finished treatment, she told me I had taken better care of her than any doctor. That's when I knew I wanted to help people like her. So my aunt's sickness was my turning point to decide my career.
And I'm sure your aunt is very proud. Thank you for sharing, Karina. And listeners, that's all the time we have for today. I'm Mark Markinson. Have a great day.
Okay, very good. Now, let's see. What was Nari's turning point? What was the big event in her life that signified a change? What was her turning point? Remember to turn on your microphones to speak, okay? But what was her turning point?
She moved to Boston.
Yeah, that's right. That was an important thing. She moved to Boston, and then there was something, but she didn't speak English, right? So what was the thing that made her learn English?
Buy her phone.
Phone.
That's right. She bought a cell phone, and that helped her improve her English. Okay. Yes, good. Let's listen to her one more time. Okay. Let's listen, or yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
Page 74.
And this time,
Exercise 4. Listening.
Okay.
Turning points. Part A. Listen to 3 people describe important events in their lives. Complete the chart.
Good morning, listeners.
First of all, it says here, good morning, listeners. So what are we listening to? Is this a regular conversation? Or what is this? What is this?
Maybe they talk in the radio.
That's right. They're talking in the radio, right? It's a radio show. Okay, very good. So good morning, listeners. Buenos días, escuchas. En español no decimos así mucho, ¿no? Pero es típico en inglés. That's very typical in English, although we don't use that word in Spanish a lot. But it's like saying radio oyentes, something like that, okay?
Good morning, listeners. I'm Mark Markinson, and we're back talking about turning points. Those moments when something happens in our lives, and afterward, we're never quite the same. Let's go to our first caller, Nari.
Hi, Mark. I'm South Korean and came to Boston by myself when I was 17.
So, right, you went to Boston.
Transitioning was hard. I had studied English but had never practiced with anyone.
What is the meaning of this? Can you say this in Spanish? I had studied English but had never practiced with anyone. What is that in Spanish?
Yo había estudiado inglés, pero
Yo había estudiado idiomas, pero nunca practicaba.
Very good. Exactly, very good. Very good. Yo había estudiado inglés, pero nunca había practicado con nadie, ¿no es cierto? That's right, very good. This is a past perfect. Esto es un pasado perfecto, ¿no es cierto? Yo había estudiado inglés, pero nunca había practicado con nadie antes de haberme ido a Boston, pues, ¿no es cierto? Antes de ir a Boston. All right, very good.
I had studied English but had never practiced with anyone. I was so nervous at first, and the second week I had to buy a cell phone. I was terrified, but the salesperson understood my first question, and I understood his answer. The moment that happened, I knew I was going to be okay with my English and get my dream job in Boston. So I guess buying a cell phone was my turning point with my English.
So yeah.
Thank you, Nari. And your
That was the answer, right? That was the answer.
So I guess buying a cell phone was my turning point with my English.
Exactly, right? So it's not so much because of the cell phone. It's not really that the cell phone helped her, but buying the cell phone meant that she, in order to buy the cell phone, para comprar el celular, ¿no es cierto? In order to buy the cell phone, she had to speak with the salesperson, con el vendedor, and she spoke in English, and the salesperson understood her, and he replied, le contestó, he replied, and she understood as well. So that helped her grow her confidence, right? That helped her with her confidence because now she knew that she was capable of interacting, right? So buying the cell phone was the turning point, but not because of the cell phone, but because she had to buy something. She had to speak with somebody and made herself understood and also understand the person in order to buy the cell phone. It could have been anything that she needed to buy. It could have been any item, but coincidentally, it was a cell phone, okay? Good. Now, going to Anthony. Do you remember what was Anthony's turning point? Mi tocayo, Anthony, what was his turning point?
He made his own job. She started her own job.
You start looking your client.
Okay, good. Let's listen now again. Yes.
So maybe he became serious, more serious about himself.
That's interesting. Yeah.
About the working.
Correct. All right, very good. And now let's listen to what they say again. And this time, let's also read. Okay, but very good, very good.
Thank you, Nari. And your English sounds great. Let's go to Anthony.
Hi, Mark. Well, I started working for myself 1 year ago.
So yeah, very good, what you said.
What made you decide to do it, Anthony?
I was doing graphic design for this company, and I was bored.
What is the meaning of bored? What is the meaning of bored? That's right. That's right.
I was doing graphic design for this company, and I was bored. I didn't like the company or town I lived in. I wanted to work for myself. I'd say my turning point was the day I started looking for my own clients online.
So yeah, that's right. What you said was right. I mean, he started working by himself, so that was big, right? But what was the reason? Basically that, right? He felt bored with his old job, and he started looking for his own clients, like you said. Very good, very good, very good. Yes. What is that? He started looking for his own clients. Can you say that in Spanish?
Él empezó
Busca sus propios clientes en línea.
Very good. A sus propios. Very good. Sus propios clientes en línea, ¿no? Very good. Look for, buscar. Excellent. So, one more time.
I wanted to work for myself. I'd say my turning point was the day I started looking for my own clients online. As soon as I did that, I knew I was serious. I started doing freelance work, saving money, and 1 year later I quit my job and moved to Chicago.
All right, very good. Do you know what is the meaning of freelance? Freelance? Yeah, exactly. That's right. So you don't really have an employer, a permanent employer, and a contract, right? A work contract, but you do individual business with lots of people, right? So exactly right. Like for example, right now, I mean, my work at UDA is not freelancing, right? That is not freelancing, but I also do some private lessons, private classes. So that is freelancing because I just get in touch with my own clients, right? And in those cases, I am my own boss. But with UDA, they are my employers, and I am their employee, right? So I have a boss at UDA, right? So that is not freelancing, but I also do freelancing on the side. Okay, good. Although my main job is of course at the university. Good. All right.
I started doing freelance work, saving money, and 1 year later I quit my job and moved to Chicago.
Love those entrepreneur stories.
Entrepreneur. Do you know what is the meaning of this? Entrepreneur? Anybody? Does anybody know? Well, this means emprendedor, okay? Entrepreneur, emprendedor, okay? Love those entrepreneur stories. Okay, very good. And now the last one, Karina. Karina, what happened with her? What was her turning point?
She started studying medicine when she's sick.
When her aunt was sick. Okay, very good, very good. So that was a key point. What is the meaning of aunt? What is the meaning of aunt?
Tia.
Yes, correct. Okay, very good. So let's listen.
Hi, I'm Karina. I'm a doctor, but I didn't always know that was my calling.
I didn't always know that was my calling. This is like saying, no sabía que eso era mi llamado, pues no, como decir, no sabía que eso era no siempre supe que esa era mi vocación. I didn't always know that was my calling. Okay?
Hi, I'm Karina. I'm a doctor, but I didn't always know that was my calling. My aunt had cancer, and I took care of her during the hardest part of her treatment. After she finished treatment, she told me I had taken better care of her than any doctor.
So that is interesting, right? After she finished her treatment for cancer, her aunt told her, Karina, that she had taken better care of her than any doctor, right? Okay?
That's when I knew I wanted to help people like her. So my aunt's sickness was my turning point to decide my career.
So yeah, very good. Exactly. Her aunt's sickness. What is the meaning of sickness?
Enfermedad.
Yep, that's right. Very good. And how do you say enfermo?
Sick.
Sick, that's right. What is another word for sick? What is a synonym for sick?
Can be ill.
Yeah, ill. I-L-L, that's right. Ill. And what is another word for sick? If ill is another word for sick, what is another word for sickness? Yeah, that's right. Very good. So yeah, you have this, right? Sick and sickness. Therefore, you also have ill. Remember the pronunciation of I, of the letter I. ¿Se acuerdan la pronunciación de la letra I? Si no suena I, suena medio como I, pero es una I un poquito jalada hacia I. ¿Se acuerdan? No es tan ill, sino ill, right? Sick or ill, sickness or illness, okay? So, as you know, enfermo, and this would be enfermedad, okay? All right, good. Let's continue then.
So my aunt's sickness was my turning point to decide my career.
And remember, when she says career, she means what she's going to do for life, what her job is going to be. If she's speaking about what she's going to study, that is only her major. Okay, don't forget that. For example, right now you're studying your majors, but working will be your careers. Okay. Now let's see the rest.
And I'm sure your aunt is very proud. Thank you for sharing.
What is the meaning of proud? What is the meaning of this word, proud?
Orgullosa.
Yeah, very good, orgullosa. Uh-huh.
And I'm sure your aunt is very proud. Thank you for sharing, Karina. And listeners, that's all the time we have for today. I'm Mark Markinson. Have a great day.
All right, very good. Let's listen to the whole thing one more time. Let's listen to the whole thing one more time, but no reading this time, okay? So one more time without reading. Please pay attention.
Page 74. Exercise.
It's very good that you do this. This is some good practice for improving your listening, which is, of course, very, very important, okay? So please don't skip on this. No se salten esto, por más que no les pida que hagamos algo en concreto, but just listen again and try to understand, okay?
4. Listening. Turning points. Part A. Listen to 3 people describe important events in their lives. Complete the chart.
Good morning, listeners. I'm Mark Markinson, and we're back talking about turning points. Those moments when something happens in our lives, and afterward, we're never quite the same. Let's go to our first caller, Nari.
Hi, Mark. I'm South Korean and came to Boston by myself when I was 17. Transitioning was hard. I had studied English but had never practiced with anyone. I was so nervous at first, and the second week I had to buy a cell phone. I was terrified, but the salesperson understood my first question, and I understood his answer. The moment that happened, I knew I was going to be okay with my English and get my dream job in Boston. So
Sometimes this happens as well, right? You have studied English for a few years now. You are able to speak. I hear you, and you can speak. But sometimes, not necessarily all of you. But have you ever spoken with a gringo? Have you ever spoken with anybody from the United States or from another country? Somebody who speaks English. Have you ever done that?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
teacher.
Yeah, if you have done that, that's great. But those of you who haven't, aquellos que no lo han hecho, probably you're kind of scared of doing it, right? Probablemente tienen algo de miedo de hacerlo. Por más que ya saben ustedes bastante inglés y están en intermedio 3, no ha de ser por nada, ¿sí? Entonces, el inglés está en ustedes. Este rato ustedes ya tienen una buena base, pero sí, hay que vencer un poco ese miedo y yo sé que eso no es tan fácil. You have to overcome that fear, and that isn't necessarily so easy. That isn't necessarily so easy, but it's going to be rewarding. It's going to be rewarding. ¿Qué es lo peor? Les planteo lo siguiente. ¿Qué es lo peor que puede pasar si hablan con alguien de Estados Unidos y no les entiende? ¿Se van a morir? Bueno, ahora con el coronavirus tal vez, pero generalmente si van a hablar con alguien, ¿qué es lo peor que les puede pasar si no les entienden? No hay gran lío, ¿no es cierto? Entonces, pero si jamás lo intentan, sí, claro, sin embargo, jamás lo intentan. If you never try, if you're always too scared of speaking, if you never try to overcome that fear, then you're never going to make progress in that regard, okay? It's always going to be hard for you to communicate. And being able to speak English is a great thing because it opens so much possibility in life. It can enrich your life so much in many ways. So don't be afraid of speaking, okay? Don't be afraid of speaking. Oh, of course, that's easier said than done. Es más fácil decir, no tengo
very important.
But yeah, that's right. I mean, it's not necessarily, I know it can be intimidating, but at least try to overcome that fear. That's going to be great for your lives. Mm-hmm.
Teacher, can I tell a story about speak English?
Please.
I think it's like something.
Sure.
I used to have a girlfriend from France that I don't know French, and I used to communicate by English. It's only like oh, how are you? Well, how was your day? And all that. And my friends, it's like, wow, how you do that? And he say, I just speaking in English because I don't know anything in French. So that is the story how I learned English.
That's great. Yeah, that's right. It was out of necessity and desire, right? Great. That's a
Right.
great. Yeah, that's a big motivation can always be good. It's like learning how to swim because you need to swim, right? It's do or die, o hago o muero, ¿no es cierto? Me voy a quedar sin nada si es que no lo intento, por lo menos. That's right. Very good. Very good. That's a great story, Mateo. That's a great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for sharing with everybody. And as we can hear, you are pretty fluent with your speaking, which is great. Now, here's another thing. I know I am moving away from all the contents in the class, but I think this is important to speak about. Of course, we want accuracy. Si queremos precisión al hablar, like for example, the exercise we were doing yesterday, I was correcting some of your mistakes, right? Like for example, well, this shouldn't be ing, this should be a base form, this shouldn't be a base form, this should be ing, things like that, right? But don't be too much overwhelmed by that in the moment in which you have to speak in real life. No se sientan tampoco demasiado abrumados por eso, porque a veces pienso eso, ¿no? Ay, pero tantas cositas que no estoy tan seguro. No importa tanto, no importa tanto. Mucho mejor que hablen cometiendo errores que no hablen, ¿cierto? Lo mismo que un gringo con ustedes. Si el gringo dice, sí, yo estar un poco cansado porque voy al mercado ayer, o sea, no está hablando tan perfecto, ¿no es cierto? Está cometiendo errorcitos, pero lo estamos entendiendo. Y mucho mejor eso que solo sea un mudo, así que no hable, ¿no es cierto? ¿Sí? En todo caso, se está haciendo entender. Entonces, claro, obviamente queremos reducir las fallas al mínimo posible, queremos tener un inglés tan preciso como se pueda, pero más importante que la precisión es todavía la fluidez, el hecho de poder hablar, ¿sí? Right? So that is something that I wanted to tell you, because sometimes that happens, right? Since, I mean, here in class, including myself, we are picking on mistakes, we are learning the grammar rules and everything, but as I say, even though those things are important, yeah, they are, but not as important as actually doing the thing and speaking with mistakes, okay? You can speak, you can make mistakes, and it's okay. If you don't make any mistake, great, that's awesome. But it's a lot better to speak with mistakes than not to speak, okay? So yeah, that was a great story, Mateo. Yeah, that was very good. That was very good. Oh, and you know, why do we speak Spanish, right? I mean, in our case, the Spanish. Why does a person speak their native language? It's basically out of necessity. It's out of necessity. If you're a small, well, and of course we have the instinct of learning that is like engraved in us, right? And we're listening to our native tongue ever since we're babies, but we also have the need to communicate, right? So that need is what makes children so great at learning their native languages, right? Por eso los niños en general, los infantes aprenden tanto su idioma nativo, es por la necesidad imperiosa de comunicarse, porque necesitamos comunicarnos para sobrevivir, pues, ¿no es cierto? Right? Pero esto es importante. El secreto de en serio aprender inglés o el idioma que sea, es que ustedes en serio tengan el deseo de que así sea, que no sea una cosa muy pasiva, sino tener ganas de que de verdad así ocurra y ponerlo en práctica, ¿no? Y usarlo. So that is something I can tell you that is probably more important than any little particular exercise or anything. You need to want to, okay? Okay, but having said that, let's go back to our exercises. But thank you, Mateo, for your story. It was great. And let's continue listening, okay? Just listen to it one more time as we were doing.
I guess buying a cell phone was my turning point with my English.
Thank you, Nari, and your English sounds great. Let's go to Anthony.
Hi, Mark. Well, I started working for myself 1 year ago.
What made you decide to do it, Anthony?
I was doing graphic design for this company, and I was bored. I didn't like the company or town I lived in. I wanted to work for myself. I'd say my turning point was the day I started looking for my own clients online. As soon as I did that, I knew I was serious. I started doing freelance work, saving money, and 1 year later I quit my job and moved to Chicago.
Love those entrepreneur stories. We have time for one more call.
Hi, I'm...
So freelance, don't forget, as I think it was Karina who said it. Freelance, you don't have an employer, no tienen un empleador. You are your own bosses in a way. Ustedes son sus propios jefes, and you get clients and you do work for them. So that is to be a freelance. An entrepreneur or entrepreneur, de ambas maneras se pronuncia. Entrepreneur, that is, emprendedor, right? Somebody who starts their own business or things like that. Okay?
Karina. I'm a doctor, but I didn't always know that was my calling. My aunt had cancer, and I took care of her during the hardest part of her treatment. After she finished treatment, she told me I had taken better care of her than any doctor. That's when I knew I wanted to help people like her. So my aunt's sickness was my turning point to decide my career.
And I'm sure your aunt is very proud.
So I didn't know, or I wasn't sure that was my calling. No sabía que esa iba a ser mi vocación. Es como decir mi llamado, ¿no? Como que viene del cielo. Es decir, lo que me llama la vida a hacer, ¿no es cierto? So that is my calling, all right? It's like, in Spanish we would say mi vocación, okay? Very good. And don't forget, aunt, tía, suena casi igual que hormiga. The pronunciation is almost the same, okay? Very good. And she took better care of her aunt than any doctor, according to her aunt. Okay, very good. So that's why she became a doctor.
Thank you for sharing, Karina. And listeners, that's all the time we have for today. I'm Mark Markinson. Have a great day.
All right, very good. Now, we're going to check, we're going to skip a little bit and then I'll go back to this part. But there is something I want to show you before we continue with this, okay? We'll do this speaking tomorrow. And now, let's take a look at this vocabulary that we have here. So again, one more time, I'd like you to make a screen capture of this vocabulary, especially if you don't have the book, okay? I'd like you to make a screen capture of it or to take a picture of it or to write it down because we still have time. It's always good, it's always a good idea to write down things, to take notes, to make notes of things, well, to take notes, because that way you remember it a little bit more, okay? Your brain is doing something when you have to process it and write it to get it and also produce it. There is something in your brain that is going to help you remember the words better, including the spelling and everything, right? So, but anyway, let's take a look at this. So what is the meaning of, and some of these are very similar to Spanish. What is the meaning of ambitious? I'm going to start with the ones that are most similar to Spanish, okay? What is the meaning of ambitious?
Ambición.
Ambicioso, that's right. Like for example, we can, we have nouns, we have adjectives and everything. So ambition, this would be a noun, right? Ambición. And ambitious, ambitious, this would be an adjective or an adjective, right? So ambición y ambicioso, ¿no es cierto? Right? Very good. So yes, very good. Ambitious, ambicioso. Let's skip a little bit. Rebellious. What do you think is the meaning of rebellious?
Rebelde.
Rebelde. That's right. Very good. These are all adjectives. Very good. Very good, Juan Jose. These are all adjectives. Todos son adjetivos, no? These are all adjectives. So yeah, very good. Rebellious is also an adjective. Okay, very good. What do you think is the meaning of sophisticated? Sophisticated. Any idea? Sophisticated? What is sophisticated?
Sofisticado.
Yeah, pretty easy. Yeah, that's right. It's kind of easy, right? Sofisticado. Like, for example, I don't know. Would you say, let me show you a couple of pictures, okay? Let me show you a couple of pictures. Just a second here. Just a second here. I'm sorry, it's taking a little moment, but it'll be ready in just a second. Okay? So don't forget it. Ambitious, ambicioso. Sophisticated, sofisticado. As you can see, those words are kind of similar to Spanish, and those are not false friends. Those are true friends because they are similar and they mean exactly the same thing. Okay? Now let me do one more. Okay, I'm just searching for something. I don't want to show you yet. I want to make sure that everybody sees it at the same time. So I am just talking to you to help a little bit. Okay. Let me see, just a second. I don't know why my internet is kind of slow now. But anyway, so let's go with this. Okay, let me share the screen with you now. Okay. So for example, would you say she is sophisticated? Would you say she is sophisticated? Or she was sophisticated?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably, yeah, that's right. And would you say, oh, come on, would you say these guys are sophisticated?
No.
I don't think so, right? I don't think so, right? Okay, very good. So you get the idea. You get the idea. All right, let's go back to the book for a moment. So those words are relatively easy, right? Ambitious, rebellious, and sophisticated, pretty similar to what we have in Spanish. But now, what is the meaning of pragmatic? How do you say pragmatic in Spanish? Pragmatic. Pragmático. We have that word in Spanish, pragmático. But what is the meaning of that? What is the meaning of being... Sorry, can you repeat that?
Tal vez es alguien que duda de todo.
Y más bien es la forma más su gusto me salió, la forma más fácil de entenderlo es pragmatic is the same as practical. Pragmático es lo mismo que práctico, ¿sí? Es lo mismo que práctico. Una cosa no muy teórica, no muy en el aire, no muy de pensar mucho, sino directo, la acción y la resolución sencilla de las cosas. Por ejemplo, una persona, él es alguien muy práctico, ¿ok? So he's very pragmatic. So that is pragmático, ¿ok? Alguien que va directo a la práctica, a la praxis, ¿sí? Entonces, en español tenemos la palabra pragmático, pero claro, no es una palabra un poquito rebuscada, si se quiere, en español, ¿no es cierto? En inglés, no tanto. En inglés es una palabra un poco más común, si se quiere. Más o menos, hasta cierto punto, all right? But you get it, right? So, pragmatic, pragmático, ¿y qué es pragmático? Práctico, simplemente así, all right? Do you get it? Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, very good. So these are the ones that are similar to Spanish, right? Ambitious, pragmatic, rebellious, sophisticated. Now, what do you think is the meaning of, let's go with this one. Argumentative, argumentative. What is the meaning of argumentative?
Argumentativo.
Argumentativo.
Sería como decir argumentativo. Ahora, ¿qué es argumentativo?
Okay. A person that question well.
Yeah, could be something like that. Something like that. There is also another way of understanding this. Argumentativo podría ser también como discutidor. That's argumentative, right? If we have a discussion, about something, you're going to present some arguments. I'm going to present some arguments. Like, for example, do you think Rafael Correa was a good president?
No.
So we could have an argument. We could have an argument right now, right? Argument Argument es argumento, pero también es debate, discusión. Ajá, right? Y tiene su relación, ¿no? Entonces, argumentative es discutidor. Alguien que va a discutir con frecuencia por algo, ¿no es cierto? ¿Sí? No voy a abrir el lío con el debate, no ahora por lo menos. Pero, but, we could argue, ese sería el verbo, noten. Argue es discutir. We could argue about it, okay? So, argument puede ser argumento, pero también es discusión, ¿sí? Therefore, argue is the verb. It means discutir. I don't want to argue with you. No quiero discutir contigo. No lo vale. Just kidding. All right, so argue, discutir, okay? And argumentative is a person who has the tendency to argue. As a matter of fact, I would say I'm argumentative. My girlfriend is very argumentative, and she says I am argumentative. So I guess we both are argumentative, okay? So, discutidor, somebody who has the tendency to argue, discutir, okay? Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, very good. Now,
Yes.
you know what is the meaning of carefree? Carefree. Yeah, despreocupado. That's right, very good. Somebody who doesn't concern too much about things. Somebody who doesn't worry too much about things, right? Alguien que no se preocupa demasiado por las cosas. Alguien despreocupado, relajado, that is carefree. Carefree. For example, when this whole pandemic was happening, I was like, we need to take some measures here. This is going to be really tough. We should sanitize everything, the food, everything we get. And some other people are like, it's going to be okay. Don't worry so much. So I am not so carefree. Some people are more carefree, right? Okay, very good. Now, let's see. Dependable. Let's take a look at something else. Let me do one more text here. Just a second. Let me. Exactly. Very good. Very good. Yes, correct. Let's begin with this. Depend. Depend sería depender, ¿no es cierto? For example, yes, correct. For example, you could say, I depend on my parents' support and money. Yo dependo del apoyo y también del dinero de mis padres para sobrevivir, pues, ¿no es cierto? En el caso de muchos de ustedes que están estudiando es así, pero está bien, right? Okay, depends. So therefore, yeah, what you said, dependable, literalmente, dependable. Literally, this would be like dependible. Literalmente sería como dependible, pero sí, lo que dijeron por ahí estaba muy bien. Confiable. Sí, alguien de quien yo puedo depender. En otras palabras, alguien en que puedo confiar. So that is dependable, okay? That is dependable. So please take notes, write it down, okay? Don't forget. I want you to remember all of this vocabulary is very useful and important, okay? So dependable, like depender, right? Very good. Now, those are the ones that were kind of close to Spanish. But now let's go into something more different, okay? What is the meaning of naive? That is how we pronounce this word, by the way. Maybe we think it's naive or naive or something like that, but what is naive? Yeah? Can you say it again? Ingenuo. Yes, that's right. Naive. Ingenuo. That's right. That's very naive. I remember a friend of mine came one day and he was like, Antonio, do you have $200? And I was like, yeah, but what for? What do you need? Because there is this guy that I found in the street and he says that he comes from a different city and they're going to pay him tons of money. They're going to give him lots of money. So he asked me for some help. So I'm going to help him. But he says that after I help him, he's going to give me $10,000. But he needs $200 in advance. But I don't have $200. So if you can give me the $200, I'm going to give you half of what he gives me. Entonces, claro, le iban a dar $10,000 a cambio de $200, ¿no? Y mi amigo quería hacer el trato con alguien así de la calle, de la nada, que le iba a dar $10,000 por nada solo a cambio de los 200. So, and he bought it, y mi amigo le creía. So he was very naive. A buena hora no tenía los 200. True story, by the way. Okay, so naive, ingenuo. That's right. Very good. Naive. Okay, very good. Now let's go with the last one. What is the meaning of wise? Wise.
Sabio.
Yeah, sabio. That's right. Very good. Wise. Very good. Sabio. A little interesting, a little curious fact. In English, do you know how to say los tres reyes magos? In English, los tres reyes magos?
Three wise wizards.
Yeah, it's almost. It's the three, it's not literal, right? Yeah, that's right. Wizard, mago, or hechicero, right? But in English, they are called the three wise men. En español les decimos los tres reyes magos, que sería como decir the three wizard kings or something like that, right? But actually in English, they are called the three wise men. Los tres hombres sabios. En español no se llama, digamos, en inglés no se llaman los reyes magos, sino los hombres sabios. No? All right? Very good. Now, let's take a look at this. I'm just going to Google, let's Google a little bit of this word. Let's Google a few of these words to see what we get. I'm just going to find out, okay? Solo voy a buscar. Just to see what happens, okay?
Sure, like the of the Elvis Presley song.
That's right. Wise men say, all of that, right? Los hombres sabios dicen, no me acuerdo qué más dice la canción, pero sí. Bueno, o sea, no me acuerdo de esa línea, pero los demás sí. But that's right, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, that's right. Wise men say only fools fall in love. I think it's something like that, right? Rush in. That's it, right? That's good. That's what it is. Los hombres sabios dicen que solo los tontos se apresuran, ¿no es cierto? But I can't help falling in love with you. Pero yo no puedo evitar enamorarme de ti. Yeah, that's a pretty good Elvis Presley song. Yeah, exactly. Let's see what happens if I look up. Look up, ¿se acuerdan? Era investigar algo, ¿no? Look up. Voy a buscar esa información que está ahí arriba y traerla hacia mí. Right? Let's take a look at what happens if I just Google wise. All right, so if I Google wise, can you see the screen right now?
Oh.
There's an O, like the symbol of wisdom. By the way, wisdom, sabiduría, ¿no? Tiene relación con wise. So if I search for wise, these are the images you get. If I Google naive, let's see what happens with naive. Let's see what comes up. Let's see what comes up if I use naive. I am naive. So let's see. Naive, innocence personified. Being naive is such a world. In such a world can be quite a burden. Claro, ser ingenuo en este mundo puede ser una terrible carga, ¿no? Very good. So naive. Take a look at this girl and the way she looks at him. Probably he's not such a good guy after all. So naive. Okay, very good. Now let's Google rebellious to see what we get. Okay, let's see what we get if I Google rebellious in images. So rebellious. Like this girl, for example, she won't listen to her mother, right? She's rebellious. Or this little boy here, he won't listen either to his mother advice, so he is rebellious. Or see these guys over here busting this car. They are also rebellious, I guess. Let's see what happens if I look for pragmatic. Okay. So, well, this is going to go into some things that are a little bit more complex, okay? But let's take a look at this. This is interesting. Can you see that? Maybe you need to move your screen with the people that are here right now. But take a look at this. So what is the opposite of pragmatic? Impractical, unrealistic, idealistic, unreasonable, inefficient, irrational, excited, theoretical, and romantic. All of those are things that are not to be pragmatic. No son prácticos, ¿cierto? Okay, very good. Or take a look at this little cartoon here. Yeah, taking a taxi to go through the ocean is not something very pragmatic. Using an airplane would be very pragmatic. Okay, good. Now let's search for something else. What other word would? Oh, let's Google carefree. Let's see what we get if I Google carefree. Oh well, didn't expect that. I didn't expect that. But anyway, yeah, there is this brand of sanitary towels, right? That are called carefree. Pero bueno, es un buen ejemplo porque ¿por qué se llaman carefree? Porque gracias a estas pues pueden estar despreocupadas, ¿no es cierto? You don't need to worry about that. Let's see if we have something. No, that's all that appears. Todo lo que aparece. Anyway, let's see, what else do we have? Let's see what happens if I Google dependable. One more time, what is the meaning of dependable? Confiable, that's right. So dependable, confiable. So for example, take a look at these things here. Like for example, trust. What is the meaning of trust?
¿Verdad?
Parecido y tiene relación. Correcto. Se parecen, no tan true es verdad y trust es confianza. Pero ¿por qué confío yo en algo? Porque hay verdad en eso, pues, ¿no es cierto? Alguien que no me miente es alguien en quien confío, ¿no es cierto? Entonces, por eso tiene relación la palabra verdad con la palabra confianza en inglés y se parecen. So, true, verdad, trust, confianza. So, if you can trust somebody, that is because that person is dependable, right? So, dependable friends. Okay, very good, very good. Now, let's look for ambitious. Let's see what happens if I Google ambitious. Okay, so here you have some pictures that illustrate this very well. Ambitious, like this guy over here, right? Or this guy over here. So yeah, he wants to go up and up and up and up and never move down, right? So that's a very ambitious person, right? Or take a look at this girl. Yeah, she wants to climb the ladder and reach her goals. So she's ambitious, right? She is ambitious. And you know, ambition can be a good thing, but an excess can also be a bad thing. Ethics always have to play a role on everything, right? So, okay, so an ambitious guy. He wants to climb up the corporate ladder. Oh, this one is good. Let's see this one for ambitious, right? Or this is like inspiring. This guy is ambitious. Okay. Okay, very good. Now let's see, what else did we have? Let's argumentative, carefree, dependable. All right, let's take a look at argumentative. Okay, I'm just going to Google something, argumentative, and let's see. Okay, there you go. So you have some interesting pictures here. Do you see them? So for example, this one. So these guys are probably very, very argumentative. These guys are probably argumentative, right? And oh, this is interesting. Take a look at this. Argumentative. Why I'm right. What is the meaning of why I'm right?
Porque yo soy de la derecha.
Ah, bueno, más bien, o sea, sí podría ser, eso le pondríamos un poquito más, diríamos, why am I on the right wing or something like that. Porque estoy en lo
Puede
correcto.
ser algo como que porque estoy en lo correcto.
Ajá, exactly, that's right. ¿Por qué estoy en lo correcto? Correcto. Pero no es una pregunta real, es como explicando. Verás, te voy a decir por qué estoy en lo correcto, right? Why I'm right. Okay, very good, very good. Uh-huh. So that is the thing. So that is argumentative. And we'll get into this, but for example, for writing an essay, también es un término, ¿no? Hay distintos tipos de ensayos que pueden hacerse. Hay ensayos solo narrativos, pero también hay los ensayos argumentativos. What is an argumentative essay? When you kind of discuss, cuando discutimos dos ideas, por ejemplo, de temas controversiales, y tratamos de defender nuestra idea, y eso es válido, ¿no? Entonces, también eso pasa. No es que sea un defecto el ser argumentativo. Tal vez si es que soy muy obstinado y si solo lo hago por ganar y no por encontrar la verdad, entonces eso puede ser un defecto, pero de ahí no es necesariamente malo ser argumentative, ¿ok? Un discutidor. All right, very good. Now, what else do we have? Let's take a look at just a few more. Naive, pragmatic, rebellious, carefree, argumentative, ambitious, dependable, sophisticated. Well, I already show you sophisticated, right? So I guess that's it. So now, here we have a little chart. We're about to finish, right? This is just something very easy, right? When do you think people are more of these? For example, in their teens, in their 20s, in their 30s, in their 40s, or in their 60s? Let's just do one. When do you think people are more rebellious? When do you think people are more rebellious? Probably in their teens, right? Probably in their teens, sometimes in their 20s, sometimes always, but probably more in their teens. When do you think people are most wise?
In the 13th.
Could be. Yeah, that's right. But maybe not in their teens, right? Particularly. Oh, of course, this also varies from person to person, right? You can be an old man and well, anyway. So, but yeah, that is the idea. Now, what's going to be your homework? What's going to be your homework for tomorrow? Very easy. On a Word document, and I'm going to put it on the virtual campus for you to find it, okay? So, you're just going to write a sentence with each of these ones, right? Pero hagamos que sea una oración que haga notar el sentido. Porque si, por ejemplo, solamente digo, mi hermana es muy sabia, my sister is very wise. Claro, pero no estoy 100% seguro si saben lo que significa la palabra, porque my sister is podría ser cualquier cosa, ¿no es cierto? Entonces, hagan oraciones en las que se note que saben qué significa cada palabra, ¿no es cierto? Por ejemplo, I always ask advice from my sister because she is very wise. Yo siempre le pido consejos a mi hermana porque ella es muy sabia. Entonces ahí obvio se nota que saben lo que significa wise. ¿Me comprenden? Do you understand?
Yes, teacher.
All right. Nuevamente, no voy a decir solo my father is very naive. Mi padre es muy naive. Puedo no saber lo que significa naive, igual hago esa oración, ¿no? Pero si digo, por ejemplo, my father got tricked in a business deal. A mi papá le hicieron trampa en un negocio. Because he's very naive, porque es muy ingenuo. Entonces ahí se nota que sabe. All right, so that's gonna be it. So I'm gonna on our usual section, worksheets PDF, Antonio Gonzalez. I'm going to add the task for you to do this little work. Okay, not very long. You can do it until tomorrow at 1 p.m. Okay.
Okay, teacher.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much for your attention.
I talk with you.
Sorry.
Bye, teacher.
You're welcome.
Can I talk with you?
Yes, sure. Mm-hmm. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye, everybody else.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye, everyone.